Have you ever found yourself drawn to text that seem to hold the very essence of a spiritual tradition? Those profound writings that just resonate across centuries and cultures. Today, we're not just glancing at one, we're truly delving into Surah Yasin. That's the 36th chapter of the Holy Quran, and is famously revered as the heart of the Quran. It's a text that, well, for millions, it just seems to encapsulate core truths and offers really profound guidance.
Indeed. And, this isn't just about the beauty of its verses, although they are beautiful, or even the spiritual rewards often associated with reciting it, though those are significant too.
Right.
Our mission in this deep dive is really to go beyond the surface, to extract the timeless life lessons embedded within this surah.
Okay.
Lessons that speak to our human experience, Our choices are ultimate purpose.
Right.
We really want to understand why it's earned such an exalted position and what universal wisdom it holds for us today.
Okay, so to guide us on this journey, this deep dive, it's meticulously constructed. We've built it on a foundation of expert analysis. We've drawn extensively from the bedrock of classical Sunni commentaries, known as tafsir. That means exegesis or interpretation.
Right, the interpretations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Tafsir Ibn Kathir, which is celebrated for its reliance on prophetic narrations. Tafsir al-Mududi, known more for its socio-historical approach.
Which is fascinating in itself.
He really is. And also Tafsir al-Jalalain, which is cherished for being so concise. But crucially, our sources also include a critical authentication of hadith.
That's key.
Yeah, ensuring that our understanding is built on verifiable knowledge. Separating popular belief from established authenticated truth.
That's absolutely right. Our objective today is kind of multi-layered. We aim to thoroughly unpack Surah Yasin's central themes, things like the absolute certainty of divine revelation, the very real and sometimes quite dramatic consequences of belief and disbelief, the undeniable signs of God's power that are just interwoven throughout the natural world.
Beautiful imagery there.
It is, and of course the ultimate inescapable reality of the hereafter. But woven throughout this discussion will also uncover a critical insight. It's about intellectual rigor itself.
Okay.
Yeah, a fundamental lesson in how to approach all forms of knowledge, especially within an Islamic framework. It really demands verification and careful discernment.
So you should think of this as your opportunity to truly grasp what makes this particular surah so central, why it's considered the heart, and the invaluable wisdom, the perspective, maybe even a refreshed outlook on life it can offer you. We'll journey through its profound narrative, exploring why it earned that unique title. We'll dive into powerful stories of faith and consequence, marvel at the universe through its poetic verses, and ultimately confront the profound reality of accountability.
And as you mentioned, that emphasis on intellectual rigor, on the pursuit of verifiable knowledge, that's a core thread running through this. It's a kind of meta lesson, really.
Yeah, meta lesson.
Yeah, it extends far beyond just religious texts. It invites a more critical, more discerning approach to all the information we encounter,
Okay, that sounds like an incredibly rich landscape to explore. Let's begin then by truly understanding what gives Surah Yasin its powerful designation as the heart of the Quran.
Let's do it.
The title, Heart of the Quran, I mean, that immediately signals immense significance, doesn't it?
It really does.
Can you walk us through the historical context?
Yeah.
When was it revealed and why did it earn this profound title?
Certainly. So Surah Yasin was revealed in Mecca, and this was during a particularly tumultuous period in the Prophet Muhammad's mission, peace be upon him.
Right.
Specifically, it was during the final stages of his stay there. Now, this was a time of intense opposition. Often brutal opposition, actually.
From the Quraysh.
From the Quraysh tribe, yes.
Yeah.
The dominant pagan clan of Mecca. They held considerable power and were, fiercely resistant to the Prophet's new message. Monotheism, social justice, these were challenging ideas for them.
So imagine that pressure.
Exactly. Imagine a small, vulnerable community facing relentless persecution, mockery, existential threats even. It was incredibly difficult.
Wow.
So the surah's primary purpose during this period was kind of twofold. Firstly, it issued a stark, unwavering warning to the disbelievers about the severe, inevitable consequences of their tyranny, their mocking rejection of the truth, their heedless ways.
And the second purpose?
And secondly, equally important, it served to strengthen the Prophet Muhammad's resolve. and that of his early followers too.
Providing comfort.
Yes, providing solace, reassurance, and really firm arguments against the relentless persecution they were facing. It was like a beacon of hope and resilience in the face of just overwhelming odds.
So it wasn't just, beautiful scripture. It was strategic, spiritually powerful, almost like a lifeline for them.
That's a great way to put it, a lifeline.
But why the heart specifically? What makes it so central? Is it just the timing?
Well, the timing is crucial context, but the heart designation comes from its unparalleled ability to present the entire Aqidah.
The core beliefs.
Exactly, the core theological tenets of Islam in such a concise, compelling, and emotionally stirring way, just as, the physical heart is vital for life.
Right.
Surah Yasin encapsulates the absolute essentials of Islamic belief. It nourishes the spirit, it prompts action. These core tenets, articulated with remarkable force and clarity, are essentially three.
Okay, what are they?
First, Tawhid, the absolute oneness of God, the singularity, the uniqueness of the Creator. Surah Yasin powerfully asserts there is no God but Allah, the source of everything, utterly without partners or equals.
A foundation.
The absolute foundation. Second, Risala, prophethood, the reality and divine appointment of messengers. It affirms the truth of Prophet Muhammad's mission and the continuity of divine guidance through prophets throughout history.
Okay. Tawhid Risala.
And third, Akhirah, the last judgment, the absolute certainty of a final reckoning, the resurrection of the dead, and the afterlife paradise for the righteous, hell for the disobedient.
So it covers the essential.
It covers the absolute essentials. And Surah Yasin weaves these three pillars through vivid narratives, powerful cosmic signs. It makes them undeniable, deeply impactful.
So for you, our listener, thinking about its role during that intense pressure, what does it mean for a text to be called a heart? What fundamental truth does it embody that would speak directly to your spirit, offering clarity, maybe resilience, in challenging times?
It's a profound question to reflect on.
That context is incredibly important, and it leads us right into a crucial point about how we approach knowledge itself, which you said is a significant part of our deep dive today.
Yes.
There are many, popular beliefs floating around about Surah Yasin's virtues, but our source material really emphasizes the importance of hadith authentication.
Critically important.
Can you explain why this distinction between popular belief and verifiable authenticity is so critical? Why does it matter so much?
This is truly fundamental, not just in Islamic studies, really, but in intellectual honesty generally. In Islamic epistemology, the study of how we know what we know, there's this disciplined, rigorous methodology. It's called hadith authentication.
Okay.
And many widely circulated beliefs about the Surah's specific virtues, while often well-intentioned, maybe culturally pervasive, they simply do not meet the stringent criteria of this scholarship. And this highlights a universal challenge, doesn't it? How do we discern between what's just popular or maybe anecdotal and what is genuinely verifiable and authentic, especially when we're dealing with profound matters of faith?
So it's about separating kind of rumor from substantiated truth, or maybe wishful thinking from fact.
You could put it that way, yes. Rigorous verification.
Can you give us some concrete examples of these widely popular but unauthenticated hadith, just so we can really grasp the importance of this scholarly rigor?
Absolutely. Let's take one of the most common ones. There's a narration that claims if you recite the Yasin, you receive the reward of reciting the entire Quran 10 times over.
Wow, that's huge. I've definitely heard that one.
It's very widespread. It's a beautiful sentiment, of course, but unfortunately, the hadith itself is classified by scholars as weak, da'if.
Weak? Why?
The reason for its weakness lies in its chain of narration, the isnad. It includes an unknown narrator named Harun Abu Muhammad.
Unknown.
Yes, his reliability couldn't be established. In fact, major scholars like Imam Abu Hatim Ar-Razi, a giant in hadith criticism, even went as far as to deem this narrator a liar.
A liar. Okay, that's serious.
It is, and that led Shaykh al-Albani, a renowned modern hadith scholar, to declare the hadith fabricated, maudu.
Fabricated, meaning invented.
Meaning likely invented, yes.
Yeah.
Not genuinely from the Prophet. That's a very serious indictment in hadith science.
That is quite a revelation for something so widely believed. What other common beliefs fall into this category? Are there others?
Oh, yes. Another frequently heard narration suggests that if someone recites Surah Yasin every night, they will attain a martyr's death.
Another powerful incentive.
Again, a powerful idea. But this, too, is explicitly deemed fabricated. Madhu. Its chains of narration contain narrators who are either entirely unknown or so unreliable that their narrations are considered abandoned by Hadith scholars.
Okay.
Then there's the very, very widespread belief, you hear this often, that reciting the surah eases the process of death for someone who is dying.
Yes, that's almost standard practice in some places.
It is culturally ingrained. But this particular tradition is based on a critically weak chain of narration, daif jidan.
Critically weak. So even weaker than just weak.
Yes, jidam means very or severely. Its weakness is quite severe. It includes a narrator named Hisham bin Ziyad, who was also considered unreliable and abandoned by scholars. The scholarly consensus on these specific narrations is remarkably clear and consistent, even if the popular understanding differs.
It sounds like many practices and beliefs, while maybe comforting or well-intentioned, aren't actually built on solid scriptural evidence according to these standards.
That's the finding of rigorous scholarship, yes.
But are there any authentic hadith about the surah's virtues? Ones that do stand up to the scrutiny?
Yes, absolutely. It's not that there are no virtues, just that we need to be precise about which ones are authenticated. The most authentic hadith regarding Surah Yasin's virtues, classified as Hasan, good, which means a good, strong, reliable narration, comes from Ibn Abbas, a revered companion of the Prophet.
Okay, what does that one say?
It states, "Whomsoever recites Yasin in the morning will be given an easy day until the evening, and whomsoever recites it in the middle of the night will be given an easy night until the morning."
Ah, okay. So a promise of ease and blessings for the day or night.
Exactly. This offers a tangible, authentic benefit rooted firmly in sound scholarship. It's not the reward of 10 Qurans or martyrdom, but it's a significant blessing nonetheless, and it's reliably sourced.
What's truly fascinating here, and this is where that meta lesson you mentioned really comes into sharp focus for you listening, is that this rigorous approach, this insistence on authentication, it isn't confined to religious texts, is it?
Not at all.
It's a powerful model for how anyone can approach any body of knowledge, questioning assumptions, seeking verifiable sources. This Islamic epistemology, it teaches that the pursuit of truth isn't based on blind acceptance or emotional appeal or just what everyone else says.
Right, it's not based on popularity contests.
Exactly. It's based on a disciplined, critical methodology. It demands careful examination of sources, understanding the reliability of information, and building convictions on a foundation of thoroughly authenticated knowledge. What stands out to you about this rigorous pursuit of truth? How might it influence your own approach to information, maybe in your work or just in daily life?
It's a profound testament, really, to the intellectual honesty inherent in the tradition. It emphasizes accountability in how we acquire and transmit knowledge. It calls us all to intellectual responsibility, doesn't it? Moving beyond hearsay to verified understanding.
It certainly does. So with this foundation of authentic understanding established, let's not turn to the surah's opening verses. These immediately lay down the bedrock of belief and set the stage for everything that follows. The surah kicks off right away, establishing this profound sense of divine authority, a clear mission statement. It begins with those abbreviated letters, Yasin, and then a solemn oath, by the wise Quran, Al-Hakim. Expert speaker, what's the significance of this opening, especially those enigmatic letters, Yasin?
Well, the opening Yasin is incredibly powerful. And you're right, they are enigmatic part of the mutashabihat, the verses whose ultimate meaning is known only to Allah. However, classical Sunni commentators have largely interpreted Yasin in this context as a direct address to the Prophet Muhammad himself, peace be upon him.
Addressing the prophet.
How? Often meaning, "O man," or "O person." It immediately establishes this intimate, personal connection between the divine message and the one chosen to deliver it. It's as if God is directly affirming and comforting his messenger right at the start.
Wow.
But then, the oath that follows, by the wise Quran, Al-Hakim, that's an immediate, unshakable declaration of authority. The Quran is described as Al-Hakim, the wise, meaning it's imbued with ultimate wisdom, perfect in its laws, precise in its message.
So not just any book.
Not just any book. It's presented as a testament to divine perfection, from which, as the Quran itself says elsewhere, falsehood cannot come. Its words are beyond human fabrication or error. This makes its authority unassailable right from the very first breath.
And it wastes absolutely no time in affirming the prophet's pivotal role, does it?
Not at all. The very next verses definitively declare that Prophet Muhammad is truly among the messengers.
Truly among them.
Yes, and that he is on a straight way. Now, this isn't a mere suggestion or some philosophical claim. It's a categorical statement of his divine appointment.
Okay.
His mission is explicitly identified as a revelation from the Almighty, the Most Merciful. This underscores that his message isn't a human invention, not a philosophical school of thought, not a political agenda. It's a direct, unadulterated divine communication.
And the straight way.
The straight way. As Surat al-Mustaqim refers to the path of truth and righteousness, free from any deviation. The path which he perfectly embodies and invites all humanity to follow.
It also mentions a universal warning, though, even though it was initially revealed in that specific context in Mecca.
Exactly. The purpose is clearly stated: to warn a people whose ancestors were not warned before. Now, specifically, this refers to the Arabs of Mecca at that time, who, unlike many other ancient civilizations, hadn't received a direct messenger previously.
Oh.
But this highlights the universal nature of the message. It is guidance for all humanity, intended to reawaken that innate spiritual understanding, even if its initial direct audience was a specific, unreached group. It emphasizes the continuity of divine messages across time and people.
What's really striking here is how the Quran immediately establishes its own credibility and the messenger's authority. Right from the outset, it sets this unshakable foundation for everything that follows. It's an immediate, unequivocal declaration of divine truth.
It leaves no room for doubt about its ultimate origin.
So, for you listening, how does such a clear divine mandate, articulated so early in a foundational text like this, impact how you receive its message? Does it compel your attention in a different way than, say, a purely human discourse might?
It certainly establishes a context of profound reverence and urgency, but then the surah quickly pivots. It describes the two very different ways humanity responds to this divine call. It powerfully delineates the spiritual condition of those who, despite such clear pronouncements, will not believe,
Okay.
contrasting them sharply with those who are receptive to the message.
This sounds like a stark division, almost predetermined. What does the surah say about those who refuse to believe?
Well, the surah declares that most of them merit the decree of chastisement and consequently will not believe. Now, this isn't presented as some arbitrary judgment by God. No. Rather, it's presented as a direct, inevitable consequence of their own persistent denial, their heedlessness, their fundamental, willful refusal to engage with the truth, even when it's presented with overwhelming clarity. Their rejection isn't because there's a lack of evidence. It's a choice.
It's a conscious, hardened choice that leads to a specific spiritual outcome.
And it uses very vivid imagery, almost allegorical, to describe their spiritual state, doesn't it?
It does, and this is where the Quran's power of imagery truly shines. It provides this graphic, profound allegory for their spiritual confinement. It says, Allah has placed fetters around their necks which reach up to their chins.
Wow.
And a barrier before them and a barrier behind them, and have covered them up so they are unable to see. Now, this isn't meant literally in this life.
Right, it's symbolic.
It's a potent symbol of their self-imposed spiritual condition. Their arrogance, their stubbornness, their willful denial of truth in this life create a metaphorical blindness and rigidity. The fetters kind of represent their refusal to humble themselves, their heads held high in defiance.
Okay.
While the barriers symbolize their self-imposed inability to perceive the clear signs of truth that are all around them, they are, in effect, spiritually incarcerated by their own choices. So their inner spiritual disposition, their choices, essentially dictate their outer reality, especially in the afterlife. Is that the idea?
Precisely. This spiritual disposition, which they meticulously cultivated through persistent rejection and denial, dictates their physical and spiritual reality in the hereafter. It illustrates a core principle of divine justice, where one's inner state, one's choices in this life, manifest outwardly in the ultimate reality. It's a powerful image of self-inflicted spiritual incarceration, where their inability to perceive truth is a direct result of their own actions and choices.
But there's a contrast, right? A more hopeful picture for those who are receptive.
Absolutely. In stark contrast, the message truly benefits him who follows the admonition and fears the merciful Lord without seeing him.
Believing in the unseen.
Exactly. That's a profound aspect of faith. Belief in the unseen, Iman bil Ghaib. It's a humble acceptance of guidance based on inner conviction and trust in the divine, rather than solely on empirical proof that you can touch and see. Such individuals embrace the admonition, the Quran's reminder and warning, and they cultivate a reverent fear, or perhaps better, an awe, of Allah, even though he is beyond their physical perception. And for these receptive souls, there is an explicit assurance. forgiveness, and a generous reward.
So the path is open.
It emphasizes that while some may choose heedlessness, the path to profound spiritual benefit, mercy, and eternal success is always open for the sincere and the humble.
And this section concludes with a powerful reassurance, but also a solemn warning about ultimate accountability.
Yes, the final verse in this opening section delivers a truly profound and, frankly, sobering message. Allah says, "He shall surely raise the dead to life, and we record what they did and the traces of their deeds that they have left behind."
Traces their deeds. What does that mean?
It's critical for understanding divine justice and personal responsibility. It highlights that every action, no matter how small, how private, how seemingly insignificant, and its ripple effects in this world, whether positive or negative, seen or unseen, are meticulously preserved and recorded for the day of judgment. Nothing is lost. Nothing is forgotten. Your actions echo through time, creating a lasting trace or legacy. Athar, whether it's a good deed that continues to benefit people or a bad deed whose negative consequences linger.
So it's the impact, too.
It's the impact, too. You will be held accountable for the deed itself and its traces.
Wow. That raises such an important question for you, our listener. How do our choices and attitudes today, especially towards truth, towards guidance, towards our impact on others, how do they shape our future experiences and ultimately our eternal destination? This concept of traces of deeds is incredibly impactful for how we live our lives, knowing that every interaction, every word, every act leaves an indelible mark that will be accounted for.
It brilliantly connects our ephemeral present to our eternal future, doesn't it? Makes every moment charged with significance.
These verses powerfully set the stage for understanding the profound consequences of belief and disbelief. And to illustrate this vividly, Surah Yasin immediately presents a deeply moving and cautionary tale.
Yes, the story of the town.
To really drive home these severe consequences of choice, Surah Yasin presents us with this story: the people of the town. Expert speaker, how does this narrative serve as such a powerful mirror for those who reject divine guidance, both then and now?
This narrative is a classic prophetic story. You find similar ones throughout the Quran. It serves as a powerful allegory, first for the disbelievers of Mecca, who are the initial audience, but really for societies throughout history. It begins with Allah sending two messengers to this presumably prosperous town. When their message, monotheism, righteous living, was met with rejection, a third messenger was dispatched.
A third one.
Yes, to reinforce their mission, to strengthen their plea. This detail itself demonstrates God's persistent guidance, his immense patience, his profound mercy. He extends ample opportunity for reflection, for repentance, for acceptance, before any final judgment is enacted. It's a powerful lesson in divine grace, offering chance after chance to a people who are, frankly, heedless.
And what was the main argument these people used against the messengers? You said it sounds like a recurring theme.
It is, disturbingly, a timeless human denial. Their primary argument was, you are only human beings like ourselves.
Just like us, so what?
Exactly. It highlights this pervasive human tendency to dismiss divine messages if they don't arrive in some extraordinary non-human form, or maybe if the messenger doesn't fit their preconceived notions of what a divine emissary should look or act like. They couldn't reconcile the ordinary humanity of the message. You know, they ate, they slept, they walked among them with the extraordinary transformative nature of their divine message. This refusal to accept a human prophet is a recurring theme of resistance throughout prophetic history.
Despite this very personal opposition, this dismissal, the messengers remained remarkably steadfast, didn't they?
They did. They demonstrated incredible resilience, unwavering commitment to their divine mandate. They upheld their duty with remarkable clarity, affirming that their sole task was just to convey the clear message, the unequivocal truth of monotheism, the reality of the hereafter.
Their job was just to deliver it.
Their mission was proclamation, not compulsion. They weren't there to coerce belief or perform worldly wonders just to appease a skeptical audience. Their integrity lay in delivering the truth, regardless of the personal consequences.
But the community's hostility, it escalated quite dramatically then, from just denial to outright threats.
Yes, the situation quickly became dire, menacing, really. The community's response escalated dramatically, going from mere denial and dismissal to outright threats of violence. They warned the messengers, point blank, that if they did not desist from their preaching, they would stone them.
Stone them.
Yes. And this wasn't just an idle threat. Stoning was a brutal form of public execution in many ancient societies. It signified extreme communal rejection and showed the extreme lengths some people will go to suppress a truth that challenges their established norms, their power structures, their way of life. It vividly demonstrates that timeless conflict between those who champion divine truth and those who stubbornly resist it, often resorting to oppression and violence.
And it's right in this moment, this peak of intense hostility, when maybe hope seems lost for the messengers, that a truly remarkable individual steps forward.
Yes, Habib and Najjar.
Tell us about him, Habib and Najjar.
Amidst all this rage, this fear, this widespread opposition, a man identified in classical commentaries like Ibn Kathir's as Habib and Najjar, Habib the carpenter, came running from the farthest part of the town.
Running?
Yes, this detail, running, implies not just urgency, but immense, almost desperate courage. He wasn't just casually strolling onto the scene. He was actively, purposefully, bravely stepping forward when others were either hostile or silent, or maybe just paralyzed by fear.
He took a stand.
He took a stand. He directly confronted his people, exhorting them with profound wisdom and sincerity. He said, "O my people, obey those who ask no wages of you," highlighting the messenger's selflessness, the purity of their motives, a stark contrast perhaps to worldly leaders, and they are rightly guided. Then he powerfully urged them to worship the one who created them, the only one deserving of devotion.
That's an incredibly powerful act of faith. A true stand for truth against the mob mentality. What was the immediate consequence for him?
Tragically, yes. His powerful declaration of faith, his courage to stand for truth against the tide of his community's wrath, it led directly to his martyrdom.
They killed him.
They killed him. But the surah, in a profound twist, completely flips our worldly perception of consequence. His physical death wasn't defeat, not at all. It was the very moment of his ultimate spiritual victory.
How so?
The narration tells us he was immediately told, the moment he died, enter paradise.
Udkhul il-Jannah.
Immediately. An instant, direct reward. Bypassing the typical waiting period in the grave, showcasing an extraordinary divine favor. It demonstrates that true success lies not in worldly survival, but in righteous conviction. It's the ultimate validation of his faith.
And his final words, they weren't words of anger or vengeance, were they? Which is just remarkable given what he faced.
What's truly profoundly moving about Habib an-Najjar is exactly that. Upon witnessing his immense reward entering paradise, his final recorded sentiment wasn't anger or bitterness or any desire for vengeance against his murderers.
What was it then?
Instead, they were words of profound compassion, longing, hope for his people. He wished, "Oh, would that my people knew of how my Lord has forgiven me and placed me among the honored ones."
Wow, he was worried about them.
Even after they killed him. It illustrates that true faith can elevate the heart beyond worldly concerns, beyond personal grievances, beyond even the trauma of death itself. His concern was for their guidance, for them to recognize the truth he had found. It's a powerful example of selflessness and ultimate spiritual triumph over base human reactions.
That's incredible. And for the people who killed him, the ones who stubbornly rejected the messengers, what happened to them?
Their punishment was swift, absolute, utterly devastating. Following Habib and Najjar's martyrdom, Allah didn't need to send an army. There wasn't a protracted siege or a slow decline for the town.
No.
The punishment was immediate and total, delivered as a single shout, and immediately they were extinguished. Sayhatan wahidatan faidahum kamadam.
A single shout. Extinguished.
Yes. Tafsir commentaries, drawing from other Quranic verses and hadith, explain this was a powerful, annihilating blast. A sayha, likely from the angel Jibreel. It just obliterated them completely, left no trace, like a fire snuffed out.
That's incredibly stark. Definitive.
It is. And the narrative's stark contrast between the believer's immediate entry into paradise, his worldly demise being just a doorway to eternal victory, and his people's immediate total annihilation, it emphasizes the absolute certainty and swiftness of divine justice.
It challenges our whole idea of success.
It fundamentally challenges our worldly perceptions of success and failure. The temporal outcome like physical death or the apparent worldly triumph of oppressors becomes utterly irrelevant in the face of the ultimate eternal outcome, paradise or hell. It underscores that what truly matters is one standing with the Creator, not one standing in the world.
This story really is a timeless lesson for you, our listener. Steadfastness in faith, unwavering conviction, compassion even, in the face of overwhelming opposition, even death. That's the path to true and eternal success.
What does this profound narrative tell you about where true victory ultimately lies? Is it in fleeting worldly power and acclaim, or in uncompromising truth and selfless devotion?
It fundamentally reshapes our priorities, doesn't it? Reveals where true, lasting value resides. This human drama, belief and consequence, it's paralleled and maybe even underscored by the grand theater of the universe itself. Surah Yasin then invites us to observe the cosmos as this vast collection of divine signs, reflecting the Creator's power and wisdom.
Yes, a shift in perspective.
Expert speaker. Moving from that intense human drama, Surah Yasin now brilliantly shifts our gaze to the vast, breathtaking canvas of the natural world. It invites humanity to reflect on the dead earth that Allah revives, miraculously bringing forth life. What profound messages are embedded in these terrestrial signs?
This section opens with an invitation to reflect on something truly powerful, yet often overlooked. An everyday miracle, really. The process of reviving dead earth, barren land to produce grain, gardens, life. It's presented as being entirely beyond human capability.
We take it for granted, don't we? Rain falls, things grow.
We do. But think about it. A seemingly lifeless patch of ground, and then with the infusion of rain, the divine command, it just bursts forth with vibrant life, offering sustenance, beauty. This serves as a clear, undeniable sign of God's immense power, his meticulous planning, and it's a profound reason for gratitude.
And you mentioned it prefigures resurrection.
Yes. Furthermore, this very act of revivification, bringing life from what appears dead, serves as a tangible, observable prefigurement of the power of resurrection. It makes the concept of life after death far more comprehensible, more real, when you see it happening metaphorically all around you.
And it also mentions that fascinating universal principle, creation in pairs.
Yeah.
That seems incredibly forward-thinking for a text revealed, 14 centuries ago.
It's truly a profound statement. The surah highlights that God created all things in pairs, Oswash. This encompasses what the earth produces, human beings themselves, male and female, and this is key, other things of which they have no knowledge.
Things we didn't know about then.
Exactly. This principle, now remarkably confirmed and expanded upon by modern science across various fields, speaks to a fundamental duality in creation. In biology, you have male-female. In botany, different components needed for reproduction. Even in physics, you see it constantly. Positive-negative charges, matter-antimatter, north-south poles.
Particle physics.
Particle physics is full of it. For every particle, there's an antiparticle. It's a fundamental dance of duality. And the surah's statement extending to things of which they have no knowledge suggests a universal scope far beyond human observation at the time of revelation.
So what's the theological implication of this pairs principle?
This intricate balance, this fundamental duality in all of creation, from the microscopic to the cosmic, is presented as an explicit argument for the Creator being one and unique.
How does duality argue for oneness? That sounds counterintuitive.
Because it suggests that while duality exists within creation, it points back to a singular, undifferentiated origin. The very structure of creation, its paired nature, speaks to a singular designer who established this system. This inherent design implies a singular intelligence behind it all.
Think about the sheer wonder of a tiny, seemingly inert seed transforming into a towering plant, or the fundamental forces of the universe existing in these complementary pairs, maintaining such a delicate balance. This surah asks you to see these everyday miracles not as mundane occurrences, but as direct, undeniable evidence of a powerful singular creator. What's one natural phenomenon that makes you pause in awe? And how might you see it differently now through this lens of divine signs and underlying duality?
It truly transforms passive observation into an active contemplation, doesn't it? Deepening our connection to the world around us.
From these terrestrial wonders, the surah lifts our eyes upwards to the celestial realm, the precise alternation of night and day, the intricate movements of the sun and moon. These are then presented as further, grander signs of divine design, an incredibly ordered cosmos.
Yes, the surah uses the alternation of night and day as another powerful, omnipresent example of divine design. This rhythmic cycle of light and darkness isn't chaotic. It's a perfectly ordered system, essential for the sustenance and rhythm of life on Earth. But it goes further. It provides a remarkably precise description of the sun and moon's movements.
How so?
It states the sun runs its course to its appointed place, lima sakura laha. This implies a fixed trajectory, a predetermined orbit, a specific purpose within the cosmic dance. And the moon, it describes, is measured into stages, manazil, the crescent waxing and waning till it returns in the shape of a dry old branch of palm tree, call original Kodim.
That's beautiful imagery, the old, dried, curved palm branch, like the final sliver of the crescent moon.
It's so vivid, relatable, connecting the cosmic movement of a distant celestial body to an observable, familiar phenomenon. It makes the celestial accessible through a common sight.
And it strongly emphasizes that there's no chaos or collision in this cosmic dance, right?
Exactly. A key verse powerfully states, "It is not permitted to the sun to overtake the moon, nor can the night outstrip the day. All glide along, each in its own orbit." Kulun fi falaki yasbahun.
Yes, Bahun. Swimming or gliding?
Precisely. It speaks to inviolable cosmic laws. A perfectly calibrated, self-sustaining system where each celestial body performs its function without deviation, without collision, without disrupting the other's path. Now, what's truly extraordinary here, and this points back to that preemptive intellectual challenge we talked about earlier, is that the Quran's descriptions of celestial bodies swimming or gliding in their orbits, falak, was a concept far beyond the common understanding of 7th century Arabs. They generally believed celestial bodies revolved around the Earth in fixed, solid spheres. The idea of them independently swimming in an orbit wasn't the prevailing view, nor easily observable with the naked eye.
So this precise description, centuries before advanced astronomy, serves as a kind of proof for all generations, almost daring future scientific inquiry to confirm it.
Precisely. This timeless description of natural laws, verifiable by future scientific inquiry, acts as a profound proof of the Quran's divine origin for all generations. It's a demonstration of prescience.
It encourages seeing science and faith as complementary.
Absolutely. Not conflicting, but as complementary paths to understanding the divine. It transforms the study of nature from a mere secular pursuit into an act of worship, an active tafakkur contemplation, and a profound means of knowing the Creator. If we connect this to the bigger picture, how revolutionary was it for a text from centuries ago to describe celestial mechanics with such precision? Long before telescopes or advanced astronomical models were even conceived, it really invites us to see science and faith working together to reveal the intricate design of the universe and the power of the divine.
Finally, in this section on signs, the Surah moves to a deeply significant sign of divine mercy. But it's subtly interwoven with a profound reminder of our inherent vulnerability, our dependence.
That's right. Here, the surah recalls the story of Noah's Ark, peace be upon him, presenting it as a powerful, enduring sign of divine mercy and preservation. It reminds us that Allah carried humanity's offspring, Quriyathum, meaning the progenitors of all subsequent humanity, in the laden vessel, full kil mashun. They were saved through a miraculous act of preservation during the Great Flood. This isn't just treated as an ancient tale, it's presented as a living testament to continuous divine care and the miracle of human continuation.
And it extends that mercy even to our present-day means of travel, connecting ancient history to modern experience.
Indeed. This historical sign is immediately followed by a reminder that Allah has created other vessels on which they ride, like ships. But by extension, commentators understand this to include all modern means of transport, cars, trains, planes. This broadens the concept of divine protection and provision to our everyday lives, reminding us that even our journey through the world, our travel, our commerce, are facilitated by divine grace. However, and this is crucial, this mercy comes with a profound, sobering warning that if Allah willed, He could drown them, and no one could save them except by His mercy.
That's a powerful reminder of our contingency, our ultimate dependence.
It serves as a profound reminder that our safety, our security, our very ability to navigate and enjoy life, they aren't guaranteed rights. They aren't solely products of our own ingenuity or power. They are entirely contingent upon God's constant, unfailing, and often unseen mercy. We are utterly dependent on His grace for every single moment of peace and protection. It prompts a deep sense of humility and gratitude for blessings we often just take for granted.
We really do take our safety, comfort, means of travel for granted so often. This section powerfully reminds you to reflect on the unseen forces of protection and provision that allow us to navigate the world safely. It's an invitation, really, to cultivate a deeper sense of gratitude and awareness of our place in the divine orders.
It grounds us in humility and a profound awareness of divine benevolence.
These universal signs, from the smallest seed bursting forth with life to the grandest celestial orbit, they all point to an undeniable truth, don't they? A powerful, intelligent creator who orders the cosmos with precision and profound care. And this intricate creation, in turn, naturally leads us to the inevitable conclusion of that creation, the day of judgment.
The inescapable reality.
Expert speaker. Now we move to the ultimate reckoning, the inevitable day of judgment. Surah Yasin doesn't shy away from confronting us with this reality, does it? It presents it as sudden, utterly unavoidable, beginning with a powerful cosmic signal. Can you describe this dramatic unfolding?
This section of the Surah dramatically describes the Day of Judgment, Yom al-Qiyamah, as a sudden, inescapable reality. It commences, as the verse says, with the blowing of the trumpet, Asur. And the trumpet will be blown, and at once from the graves to their Lord they will hasten. فَإِذَا هُمْ مِنَ الْأَجْدَاثِ إِلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَنْسِلُونَ.
Hastening from the grace.
Yes, emphasizing the instantaneous and unavoidable nature of this event for all of creation. Now, Tafsir al-Madudi, drawing on other prophetic narrations, clarifies this critical process. He details not just one, but 3 distinct blasts of the trumpet, each with a specific earth-shattering purpose. It paints a vivid and frankly terrifying picture of this transition.
3 distinct blasts. Wow, it sounds incredibly detailed. Can you elaborate on each of these powerful signals?
Absolutely. According to this understanding, the first is nafakat al-faza, the blowing of terror. This causes everything in the heavens and on earth to be struck with unimaginable terror and dread. It's a moment of universal fear where every living creature is gripped by an overwhelming sense of impending doom, witnessing the beginning of the end of the world as we know it.
Okay, the terror. What's next?
Then comes nafakat as-sak, the blowing of death or striking down. This blast results in the death of all living beings across the universe. Only Allah, the ever-living, the self-subsisting, remains. It is the absolute end of all worldly life and existence, a complete cessation of creation.
Total silence.
Total silence. And finally, nafakat al-tiyam leid rabbil alamin, the blowing of rising for the Lord of the worlds. This is the trumpet call for resurrection. When all of humanity, from Adam to the last person born, is raised from their graves, bursting forth from the very spot they died to be brought before their Lord for judgment, it's a colossal, awe-inspiring moment of mass revival.
And the reaction of the disbelievers at this point sounds particularly telling. Almost a moment of terrifying realization dawns on them.
It is indeed. Upon being raised, the disbelievers, in their shock, their bewilderment, their utter unpreparedness, will exclaim, "Woe to us! Who has raised us up from our place of sleep? Yahweh lana mam batana mim markatina."
Of our sleep.
Yes. This exclamation powerfully conveys their complete unpreparedness, their profound regret, and the terrifying reality of their situation. What's particularly poignant about this phrase, "our place of sleep," Markatina, is the implication, according to some commentators, that any punishment or discomfort they might have experienced in the grave will seem, in hindsight, like a mere nap compared to the horrors and the overwhelming reality that now awaits them on the day of judgment. It highlights their utter heedlessness throughout their lives, maybe even after death.
Imagine that. The sheer scale of humanity rising simultaneously. From every corner of the earth, every generation, a moment of unprecedented terror and awe, a stark shift from worldly existence to eternal accountability. There's no escaping it, is there? No hiding.
None whatsoever. And following this mass resurrection, the surah starkly contrasts the final, eternal destinies awaiting humanity. The sublime joys and comforts of paradise versus the grim, inescapable reality for the inhabitants of hell.
Tell us about the bliss awaiting the people of paradise.
Yeah.
What does Surah Yasin describe? How does it paint that picture?
The people of paradise, Ashab al-Jannah, are depicted as being engaged today, happily enjoying, for shughlan fakihun, their eternal delights. They are shown reclining comfortably on magnificent thrones, ala al-araiki mutakiun, in the company of their spouses amidst lush gardens, receiving an abundance of exquisite fruits and whatever else their hearts desire. Wallahu ma yad'un. Their every wish is fulfilled instantly, effortlessly.
Sounds idyllic.
It is, but their ultimate reward transcends even these profound material and sensual comforts. Their greatest joy, the pinnacle of their bliss, is described as a greeting of peace, salam, directly from a word from the Lord, most merciful, Qala mir Rabbi Rahim.
Peace from God himself.
Exactly. This emphasizes direct divine favor, an unparalleled closeness to their Creator, and a profound sense of ultimate spiritual serenity and fulfillment. It's a complete, harmonious fulfillment, both physical and spiritual.
And the contrast with those condemned to hell, it's absolute, isn't it?
It is a terrifying and absolute reality. The people of hell, Ashab an-Nar, are commanded in a moment of utter finality to be separated today, O criminals. Wantazo yama ayuhal mujrimun. A complete segregation from the righteous.
Okay.
They are then reminded of their conscious choice to disobey. That they were commanded, weren't they warned, not to worship Satan, Shaitan, who is an open enemy to mankind, but instead to worship Allah, the one true God. This highlights that their predicament is a direct result of their own free will, their deliberate choices in this life.
They were warned. They had the choice.
They were warned repeatedly, but perhaps the most terrifying, the most inescapable scene described for the disbelievers is when their mouths are sealed.
Mouth sealed. Why?
So they cannot lie or make excuses anymore. And then their own hands and feet are made to speak, to testify to the deeds they committed.
Their own bodies bearing witness against them. That's an incredibly powerful, visceral image of inescapable accountability.
Absolutely. This reality of having one's own body, the very instruments of one's actions bear witness against oneself, is a poignant, deeply personal reminder of the inescapable nature of accountability. On that day, there will be no denial possible. No excuses will suffice. Their very limbs will become eloquent witnesses to their actions, meticulously detailing every deed, every transgression. It's a complete, undeniable, deeply personal self-indictment. It leaves absolutely no room for evasion or lies. It underscores the profound, intimate connection between our choices and their eternal consequences.
This isn't just, some abstract theological concept. It's a powerful call for you, listening, to reflect on the choices you make daily. Your words, your actions, your intentions, and their potential eternal ramifications. What does it truly mean to be fully accountable, knowing that even your own body might testify against you on a day where absolutely nothing is hidden? It really grounds the abstract idea of judgment in a very visceral, immediate way.
It eradicates any possibility of denial, doesn't it? Making accountability undeniably personal and complete.
And finally, the surah concludes. It comes full circle, returning to the central theme of creation and recreation, directly addressing that logical challenge that disbelievers often pose regarding resurrection.
Indeed. The surah points out man's seemingly contradictory nature. Doesn't man see, it asks, that we have created him from a sperm drop, a seemingly insignificant beginning? Yet despite this humble origin, he becomes a fierce opponent, Qasimun Mubin, challenging God's power, his logic.
It mentions a specific incident.
Yes, it recounts a specific historical incident, often cited in tafsir, where a prominent disbeliever, traditionally identified as Uba ibn Khalaf, once took a decayed, rotten bone. He crushed it in his hand, scattering the dust before the Prophet, peace be upon him, and he challenged him with mocking skepticism, who will give life to these bones when they have rotted away. Man yuhil ithama wa hiya ramim.
That's the core question, isn't it? The ultimate skeptical challenge.
It represents a common, seemingly logical point of skepticism throughout history, questioning the very possibility of physical resurrection from decomposed remains.
And what is the decisive, profoundly logical answer that Surah Yasin provides to this fundamental challenge? How does it counter that?
The answer from Allah, delivered through the Prophet, is both simple in its clarity and profoundly logical in its implication. Say, He will give life to them who created them for the first time, and He is the all-knower of every creation.
Create them the first time.
Exactly. The argument presented here is a powerful rhetorical proof, a logical syllogism almost. The creation of something from absolute nothingness, alinsha, the initial bringing into existence, is a far greater, far more complex miracle than the recreation or reassembly of something that once existed.
That makes sense. Starting from scratch is harder than rebuilding.
Precisely. A creator who is capable of the greater feat bringing existence from absolute non-existence is most certainly and logically capable of the lesser feat, which is merely reassembling and reviving what was already there, albeit decomposed. This is presented as an undeniable logical proof for resurrection, irrefutable for anyone who accepts the premise of a creator in the first place.
So it effectively turns the skeptic's argument completely on its head, using their own implied logic, the difficulty of creation against them.
Precisely. This powerful intellectual lesson is then reinforced by the raw, effortless power described in the final verses, which describe God's absolute command. When He intends a thing, His command is simply be, kun, and it comes to be, fayakun. Yes, this illustrates the effortless, instantaneous nature of divine power, where a mere command manifests reality, requiring no effort, no time, no complex process. This powerful ending reinforces that the day of judgment and the resurrection it entails isn't some distant, abstract, or impossible concept. It's an absolute certainty. a logical and divine conclusion to human existence, dictated by an all-powerful, all-knowing creator.
And this certainty, you mentioned earlier, has particular relevance for the dying.
Yes. Reciting the Surah for the dying, or in their presence, is therefore considered by many to be a profoundly powerful act of faith. It reminds the departing soul of Allah's boundless power, His mercy, the reality of the journey ahead, that its eternal journey is just beginning. It can provide immense comfort and reassurance in the face of this absolute certainty. It's a final affirmation of the boundless power of the Creator and the journey that lies ahead.
This argument really challenges us to think deeply about creation itself. If God can create us from a single sperm drop, from virtually nothing, then recreating us from dust, it's not just possible, it's a logical extension of that same boundless power. How does this reframe your understanding of life, death, and what truly comes next? It shifts the perspective, doesn't it? From resurrection being a difficult, almost impossible miracle to an entirely logical and inevitable one, given the initial, grander act of creation.
It places the entire human experience, from origin to ultimate destination, within an eternal, purposeful, and fundamentally logical framework.
Wow, what an incredible journey that was. Through the heart of the Quran, we've seen how Surah Yasin powerfully establishes the Quran itself as a divine, wise, unassailable revelation, and the prophetic message as an immutable truth from the Almighty Creator.
Indeed. And we learned that true success, real victory, isn't about fleeting worldly power or status. It's about unwavering faith, profound compassion, even in the face of death itself. A lesson just so vividly exemplified by that steadfast believer in the town, Habib an-Najjar. His worldly demise was merely a doorway to eternal victory.
Right.
We've also been invited to view the universe itself as this boundless book of signs, where intellectual inquiry, scientific observation, deep contemplation, they don't contradict faith, they can actually deepen our knowledge and awe of the Creator.
And we've confronted that undeniable certainty of the afterlife, the day of judgment, which profoundly underscores that our highest purpose in this fleeting life is really to diligently prepare for that eternal reality, making every moment, every choice, every intention count because of those traces we leave behind.
Exactly. And crucially, as we discussed, this entire deep dive has hopefully modeled the importance of intellectual rigor, that disciplined, critical approach to sources of knowledge, as we saw with the Hadith authentication example. This isn't just some dry scholarly virtue, it's a fundamental component of building a sound, authentic faith, and frankly, a profound and truthful understanding of any subject we pursue. It's about seeking truth with an informed and discerning mind, not just accepting things uncritically.
So this surah, it isn't just an ancient text gathering dust. It provides you with a profound framework for understanding your existence, your choices, the universe all around you. It challenges you to be discerning in your pursuit of knowledge, to question assumptions with a critical mind, and to be steadfast in your convictions, knowing the ultimate purpose and destination of all things.
So as you reflect on all that we've unpacked today, maybe consider this provocative thought for your own continued exploration. If the universe, from the smallest unseen seed bursting with potential life to the grandest, perfectly orbiting celestial body, if it is truly a meticulously woven tapestry, rich with undeniable signs of a singular, all-powerful creator, then what might happen if we were to approach all our studies, be it in science, history, philosophy, art, even just our daily observations? What if we approach them with the same deep inquiry, the same intellectual rigor, and the same humble awe that Surah Yasin so powerfully calls for? What new revelations about design, about purpose, about our own profound place within it all might you uncover in your own fields of interest, transforming ordinary knowledge into perhaps profound insight?